Robin Singh is an animal rights activist, a minimalist, an animal rescuer, and one of the co-founders of Peepal Farm. Peepal Farm is not like your average sanctuary. They try to live a very minimalistic lifestyle and are also trying to be self-sufficient by cultivating their own food. I personally respect Robin Singh a lot, not just because he's helping many stray and injured animals, but because he is not a hypocrite. He is a vegan, meaning he does not save some animals while killing, exploiting, and eating others. He is consistent in his beliefs, and for the selfless work that he and his team are doing, they have my greatest respect. But now you might be wondering, why on earth would one vegan make a versus video with another vegan? You see, we both may be vegan, but we don't necessarily agree upon everything. In fact, I will go as far as saying that some of the values that Robin preaches, I find negative and harmful for the animals. But before we step any further into this topic, I do have a few things to clarify. I am not making this video to create more drama in the vegan community. In fact, I am making this video to create more awareness among vegans, and especially for those avid followers of Peepal Farm. So without further ado, here are two issues I have with Peepal Farm and with Robin Singh. Instead of promoting veganism, which is a moral philosophy where one abstains from consuming animal products or wearing animal skin because they believe that it is immoral to exploit and use animals, Robin Singh instead promotes the concept of Veganish. Since most people are averse to the vegan message, many activists, Robin Singh included, have started promoting Veganish, meaning that one can still consume some animal products and need not be 100% plant-based. People who are telling someone to go veganish are asking you to make an effort to eat as much vegan as possible. But this can be extrapolated into various different ways. So, a person eating 9 pieces of fried chicken instead of 10 is veganish. A person consuming 2 cups of coffee instead of 3 is veganish. And hey, they can change the rules according to their convenience, meaning they can say that I originally planned on having only 2 cups of coffee, but I got a headache, so I had to have the third. Veganish is based on the convenience of the animal exploiter and not based on the convenience of the animal. If someone has to base their ethical decisions on their convenience, then you can bet that they will definitely choose something that suits their bias and not what is the right thing to do. Veganish will not lead to the decrease in any animal product consumption because by definition of the world is already veganish. Okay, let's just say that tomorrow they come up with a new definition for the word veganish, meaning that only 10% of the calories you consume can come from animals. Meaning that someone who consumes 2000 calories a day can consume only 200 calories a day from animal products. That comes to a little over 100 grams of chicken, 4 eggs, or half liter of milk. Well, if everyone really would eat such a reduced amount of animal products, again a big if here, then yes, the amount of animals being tortured and killed will decrease exponentially. But again, veganish is not defined like that. It is an arbitrary quantity that anybody can place upon themselves and therefore will not have any positive consequences for farmed animals. And that is exactly the reason why it is so accepted among the public. People love veganish because it asks them to do the one thing they love to do the most. Nothing. For anyone promoting veganish, here's a challenge you can take up. Just try promoting veganish with an actual threshold that is only 5% or 10% of calories should come from animal products and just wait and see the response. It would be just as nasty as what I get for promoting veganism because now it actually involves making some sort of change. But is promoting veganish if it had a threshold to the animal product consumption, alright? You see, if you agree to the fact that exploiting and needlessly hurting animals is wrong, then veganism becomes your only option. If you agree that an animal valuing its life and its right to live free is more important than whatever extrinsic value a human may place on said animal, then once again veganism becomes your only option. Would it be better if a child molester were to molest 5 children rather than 20 children in 1 year? Well, yes, of course it would be better. But molesting children is still fundamentally immoral. Would it be better if a terrorist were to detonate a less powerful bomb and therefore kill only half the number of people he originally intended to? Well, yes, of course it would be better. But killing innocent people would still be fundamentally wrong. Is reducing your intake of animal products and therefore reducing the number of animals being tortured and killed in this world better than not reducing your animal product consumption at all? Well, yes. Once again, it is better, but breeding, exploiting, and murdering animals is still fundamentally wrong. I hope you understand the point I'm trying to make here. It is immoral and wrong in itself to promote the reduction of abuse and exploitation. By changing the goalpost from liberation to reduction, we are sending forth a message to the public saying that it is all right to abuse and torture your victim as long as the abuse seems less violent from your perspective and not from the victim's perspective. Also, to prove how silly Veganish is, the person promoting Veganish here, Arvind Singh, is not Veganish himself. He is an ethical vegan for animal rights. Does it make any sense to promote something that you yourself would not follow because you know it is unethical? Next, I would like to talk about Arvind Singh's clean milk campaign that he has recently been promoting. The aim of this campaign is to ask people to go to a dairy farm and ask the farmer whether he sells off the cows to slaughterhouses once she can no longer produce huge quantities of milk, or whether the cow is still taken care of. Now, on paper, this does seem like a good idea to raise awareness, right? People would finally come to realize about the horrors that happen inside Indian dairy farms. But even in this campaign, there are a few issues. Firstly, even if people manage to find a farm in which they do not kill the cows or calves and instead send them off to a goshala, how is that still fair? Cows will still have to be made pregnant, still have to carry a baby in them for 9 months, and still have to be milked. In the end, their body is still exploited and we are still taking something from them that does not belong to us. In reality, even though they are not slaughtered, goshalas are still struggling to get enough funds in order to feed the many cows and calves that they rescue. It is so sad to see that so many cows are dying of malnutrition and hunger in these goshalas because they have literally nothing to eat or drink. It is good to not slaughter a cow, but I would argue that it is equally criminal to bring a cow or calf into this world when their only two options are either be slaughtered or starve. Breeding cows is the root of the problem and not the slaughter. Think of it this way. There is a giant tap from which water is flowing into a bucket, and this bucket is riddled with holes. Therefore, the water flowing in constantly is leaking. Consider the water to be cows and the leaks to be cow slaughter. Now, you are asking us to use a bucket that does not have holes, but you need to realize, even if it does not have holes, as long as the tap is on, it will eventually start overflowing. The solution here is not to get a new bucket or a bigger bucket, but to close the tap, that is stop animal breeding. We breed cows because we need to make them lactate. We need to make them lactate because we consume their milk. If we stop drinking their milk, the whole problem would be solved. Clean Milk campaign sadly does not explain this. Clean Milk campaign does not even tell people to go vegan even if they find out that the dairy farmer is selling the cows and calves to slaughter. It just asks them to go and inquire. Although it is a step in the right direction, that is encouraging people to go and learn about what's happening around them, not giving people a clear direction, especially in this ever so confusing world, is very problematic. Suppose dairy farmers start lying tomorrow and say that they don't sell the cows or calves for slaughter. What then? When the government of India has clearly given out instructions on what to do with livestock when they're no longer profitable for the milk industry, and we have many people who have gone undercover and investigated these dairy farms, and we have crores of people hooked to dairy like it's a drug, why are we asking them to play detective? Not to mention the name Clean Milk suggests that although a lot of dairy does come from cruelty, somewhere out there this elusive clean milk does exist, and now it's people's job to go and find it. It's just that with the amount of misunderstanding about what veganism actually means to the general public, and with the amount of misleading advertisements being put out by the dairy industry, and with the amount of denial that the dairy consumers in our country live with, a campaign without a clear direction ends up just causing more confusion. I'm sorry to say this, but to promote the Clean Milk campaign in India, in a country where people still live under the illusion that no cruelty happens in the dairy farm, instead of asking them to go vegan, is the equivalent of asking someone who's eating fish curry to not use a plastic spoon because that discarded plastic waste might hurt a fish somewhere in the ocean. People are not foolish. Of course they will support you. They will support you till the moment they realize that you're asking them to not consume dairy. And at that point, trust me, they will take a complete U-turn. What they do after hearing our message is not in our hands. Whether they choose to become vegan or reduce their animal product intake or buy milk from a goshala, we cannot control any of that. But at the very least, we can make our message clear. Using misleading campaign names or trying to use a Trojan horse or trying to secretly push a narrative is just not going to work. I want to conclude this video by saying the following. We vegans are already so small in number. It makes no sense in us fighting each other. If we do have disagreements, we can always calmly talk about them. If any of you agree with my views and standpoints, you can definitely express your views to Arvind Singh or on his page in a very calm or polite manner. My request to Arvind Singh and his team would be to please use their extraordinary talents to send forth a clear message to their audience. Please educate them on veganism and ask them to live vegan. I thank you all once again for the incredible job you're doing in rescuing and saving the lives of hundreds of animals and therefore making this world a better place to live in. Thank you.